All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Stories Worth Telling. Sorry, I have no idea what's going on with all my stuff here. Sorry. Guys, we are live today with Rebecca Moore, CFO, co-owner of Kaaum Enterprises. And Rebecca, man, I've been so excited to have you guys on here for a while because, well, first of all, it's always a good time, right?
Oh, yeah.
But more importantly, gosh, just to see the growth and your guys' mission and what you guys do, it's been incredible for me to watch as a business owner. And so, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just kind of, first of all, what does Kaaum mean?
Kaaum actually means nation in Hindu, believe it or not. That was a byproduct of, or a happy byproduct of what my husband did was he mushed our girls' names together. So we have Kaylee and Aubrey, last name is Moore, and he smushed everything together. And he's like, we're going to name our company Kaaum. I'm like, it's ridiculous. Nobody can say that. And then we happened to look it up, and it's an actual word. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah, I like it. I remember when, first looking at, possibly doing business and all those things, and then the first thing that I saw on the website was the definition. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it fits, right, for what you guys do. So for maybe people who don't know Kaaum Enterprises and what you guys do, give us a little description in terms of what you guys do as a service.
We are a program-approved service agency, so we do day program, community services, residential services for adults and children that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. So it's a pretty all-encompassing program, so there's a lot of different facets to it. But that's as brief as I can make it.
No, I think it's incredible what you guys are doing. Such a huge need in this community for sure. And, I know that you had mentioned that somebody that maybe feels like, it takes a certain type of somebody to be able to care for somebody else that maybe has a disability and things like that. Yeah. But it also takes a big heart, of somebody to be able to do that. So, walk us through kind of how did this operation start? I know, you and James maybe have a background into volunteering and stuff like that, and, your son, but I mean, kind of walk us through, how Kaaum came to be.
Well, I'll kind of start at the beginning as much as possible. When James and I first started dating each other, one of our common factors that we had was that we both had a background in essentially special needs advocacy. He was working in the mental health and then with Department of Vocational Rehab for in Alamosa, Colorado. And then I was doing volunteer work for the Human Rights Committee for the Resource Exchange here in Colorado Springs. So we started talking about that. Ended up being an awesome conversation because the more we got to know about each other and our passion for advocating for people that have disabilities, the more we realized this was worth our time to explore. He ended up moving up here to Colorado Springs, and then he was working for the Resource Exchange. And the Resource Exchange, in case you're not familiar with that, it's also goes by the acronym TRE, but they're a community center board here in Colorado that manages these waivers that children and adults get onto to do services when they have a diagnosis. So he worked for them, and then he worked for another service agency here in town as a day program director. And we went through a hard time. I mean, he ended up losing his job. I was in school full time. I looked at him one day and like, hey, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? If you really think you can do better, do it yourself kind of idea. So that's how it came to be. And then we started literally with 5 clients, and he was doing day program. I was doing books. I was still in school full time. And then it just continually grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, that's an understatement, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Now it's like crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the fact that you encouraged James to kind of maybe take that step, because it's really difficult, I think, to launch a business when you don't have maybe the support or know that you have the support of your significant other or spouse. And Sharon was very much the same way. You know, she'd been in business for a number of years, and she saw that I just kind of hated living and dying every day by my stats, and making sure that I was, I would have to pump myself up every morning and listen to like a Les Brown or whatever it was, just to kind of keep me going for the day.
Yeah.
And, that wasn't a reflection of just who I was, if I had a bad day. But to me, I mean, being in that corporate world in the sales environment, that's what it felt like. And, Sharon, Sharon had basically just turned around and said, she goes, I know you work hard, you deserve better, and you deserve to be happy. So just to find whatever it is that you want to do and launch the business. So totally can understand and resonate with that.
Well, I can guarantee that this was not something that I would have ever picked for myself. I mean, educational background wise, I was really looking forward to pursuing something in the medical field, or I just wanted to be stuck in a lab with a microscope and study some genetics. That would have been a great time for me. But it's amazing how life gives you these opportunities, and then you find where you actually belong. So we're really, really pleased.
Yeah. Now, since, the business has started to scale, since you guys have taken on and learned quite a bit, but now being in business for a number of years, what are some of the things, that you've learned, that you might be able to kind of shed some light for maybe people who are starting their business, new to business, or even thinking about starting a business?
You have to stay strong. I mean, it really is so difficult. It wears on you because the responsibility that you have to clients, to employees, even to your own family, when you're the only person that is making ends meet, or you're the biggest breadwinner or the only source of income, it can wear on you emotionally. And so I think continuing to build yourself up, surrounding yourself with really positive people, individuals, and then just keep trying every day. You're going to have failures. It's a guarantee. That's just the way life goes. But you're also going to have these amazing successes. So if you believe in it, you have a passion for it, I think that's the biggest part of the battle.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I tell people all the time, persistence and failure are the two things that keep me going. Even on a day like today where I feel like I'm completely, the sky is falling all over, right? But again, I know that I'd much rather do this than wake up and, have to clock in and work for somebody else, so to speak. So, so how does the process work for somebody who maybe they have a family member, maybe they themselves are looking to get into the day program and what you guys do? So how do they go about, being able to sign up for your guys' services?
It's a process. It really is. And it can go fast. It can go slow. It really depends on who you know. People that are looking to advocate for somebody, or they are advocating for themselves to get into services, your first step is always to go through the community center board. They're the ones that enroll you into the waiver system. The waivers are all Medicaid based. There's a number of different requirements in order to qualify for these waivers. So you go through all of that lovely paperwork, meetings that take hours on end, and then wait for the powers that be through Medicaid and healthcare policy and financing to come down and say, hey, magic, you're approved. Once that's in place, and if I was to make a recommendation to parents, if you have any inkling that your child has some sort of diagnosis, go ahead and get the process started as early as possible. It doesn't matter if they're 2 or 5 or even 17 and a half, because once you get to 18, it gets even harder. So you really want to do it as early as you can. Once you have yourself into a waiver system, then it's a matter of choosing an agency. And there's over 60 of them in Colorado Springs alone.
Wow.
So yeah, Denver is inundated with these service agencies. And then unfortunately, in the more rural parts, including Pueblo, in Colorado, there's a very large lack of services. So if you're in one of the major cities like these two, you're going to have tons and tons of options. Everybody's going to want to have you in services. You interview as many agencies as you're willing to and just see what you're comfortable with. Everybody has a different philosophy or a delivery style to services. But if you pick Kaaum, we're happy to have you. So you just have to give us a call, and then we get the ball rolling with the service coordinators at TRE and take it from there.
Yeah, that's really great information. I mean, I didn't know that there were so many, which goes to show again, I mean, there's a huge need, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, I know that you guys do a lot, obviously I've been privy to kind of come down and take a look and see what you guys do, and, being able to, bring some pizza and whatnot and just kind of get to know some of, the people in the program and stuff like that. And it's amazing. And I know that, when people are looking for maybe ways to volunteer, maybe place to spend their time to be able to, maybe if they're feeling like, being able to give back a little bit, that you guys are kind of open to some of that. So what are some of the things, that your residents and the people in your program could benefit from? If people are watching this, maybe, they're looking to be able to share this with others.
Any kind of self-help advocacy. It could be basic. It could be on how to brush your teeth correctly. It could be on how to apply for food stamps, or trying to find just clothing at a decent price, just to share. Going down that particular road, most of the people that are in residential, the adults, the amount of personal needs fund that they receive is only $83 a month.
Oh, wow.
So, people go to the ARC, they go to Goodwill to get their clothing, but those places are integral for people with special needs and disabilities to go and get clothing, because they don't have enough of an allowance to spend their money on anything that's going to be name brand or high end, or even going to Walmart would be too expensive.
Right.
So donate your clothing, donate your gently used items to these places like Goodwill and the ARC and Salvation Army. That's a big deal too. Just give as much as you possibly can. And I love this population. They're so much fun. They're so honest and so wonderful and just loving. They love with all their heart. So it's a lot of fun. Anybody who wants to give is going to be well rewarded.
I love that. And again, knowing, who you're giving to, who's receiving on the benefits, I think a lot of times it's strictly based off of the product or a need, but especially in times like right now with all the COVID stuff, it's super important to know who you're supporting, what they stand for. So I'm really glad that is, a point of emphasis that you've been able to kind of just let us know and be able, because there's so many people out there who, again, they probably don't know of that there was such a need or such a program, and now they know who they can support. So we have Rebecca Johnson tuning in live. Thank you so much, Rebecca. She says, I love these people so much. Rebecca and James are the most loving, amazing people. They do wonderful things with their community. Absolutely, Rebecca Johnson. And thank you so much for tuning in live and taking the time to leave some comments here. Guys, if you are watching live, just comment #live so that we know you're catching this. And, as you have questions, feel free to post them up and we'll go ahead and have Rebecca address them live. And if for some reason we don't get a chance to it, or we bypass it, maybe we miss it, we'll come back after the fact and kind of get you guys some information. Also going to go ahead and just put the information of how to go ahead and contact Kaaum Enterprises. So we've got their website, got their email, and of course the phone number. So if you guys have any additional questions, about enrollment or just how you can help with the program, definitely some great things here. One of the things that I really liked when I met with you and James is how you guys are able to get, residents into to go visit different places, so that way they get that real life experience, like maybe being able to go to a coffee shop, and then not only that, but then also maybe have the owner come out and teach them in regards to how they operate the business, and just kind of give them some of those different experiences and things like that. So typically when you guys do I guess for lack of a better term, maybe a field trip or so to speak, or how many people are you guys traveling with, and what kind of accommodations do you typically maybe business owners need to look out for if that's something that they were interested in?
A lot of questions all at once.
I know.
Okay, let me break it down. I'll give you an idea first off. On a normal operation time when we're not dealing with COVID and the restrictions,
Right.
because right now it's super restrictive with COVID.
Yes.
And healthcare policy and financing, Medicaid, they have different requirements for what we can and cannot do currently. But on average operations, we're looking at one mentor. So that would be one person that is providing the services, and kind of directing traffic and how this is going to work, to 3 to 4 clients. And I shouldn't say clients. We're going to go to a different terminology and say person receiving services.
Okay.
In other words, I'm going to say PRS because I think that's the most politically correct way to put it.
Sure.
And so we're going out in the community. They're going to do about 6 activities on average per day when they're out in the community. Okay. Everything is outside or in the community base. When they're going to, let's say, coffee shop, take your example right there, being understanding that our PRS's boundaries are going to be different than yours and mine. They may talk to you a little bit louder. They may be a little bit closer when they stand to you, or they may be just the opposite. They may not want to talk or make eye contact at all and get as far away from you as possible. Just be loving and kind and understand that people are going to respond differently to different stimulus. It's, I think, all about being very accepting.
Yeah.
That's what all the owners or anybody who's operating a business, we've been very blessed to find some pretty amazing places to go visit. And majority of the places that we have been to have been very accommodating.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think it's huge, right? Because so many people have different ways to learn, right? Some of them are hands-on, some of them are going to be, through visual, audio even. And so to be able to kind of see real time and how different people respond. And again, the responses may be a little bit different than how you and I might respond or, things like that. But to be able to see that and to really know that you're truly reaching out and making a difference in a different way, I think, from a business owner's perspective or from a mentor perspective. So I love the fact that you guys do that when it's not COVID.
Yeah.
And so, how have you guys been able to pivot that in regards to, how do you move, what's been the adjustment now to be able to kind of get these activities or kind of get these interactions?
It's been incredibly difficult. And I think that it's the most difficult on the PRSs, on the people in service, because not everybody is able to understand the impact that COVID has had on our society right now. Sure. The amount of closures, not being able to access certain things, even when they were closing parks. It's a nice day outside. Why can't you go out and eat lunch? You just can't do that. So we had to get super creative. A lot of virtual activities. Did you know that you can have virtual museum tours?
I think I saw something like that, but yeah, I mean, I never would have thought though that like even something like a park closing could be so impactful.
Oh, well, when we're basically a key component in people's lives to get them socialized in a community setting, and to meet people all throughout the community, different areas, different backgrounds, and learn. And so this is a teaching moment every time we're out with our people, to learn how to socialize appropriately or how to handle certain situations that we're going to come up with in real life. The park is a very simple example of that, but when you can't even go and order a coffee, like we would have coffee at least once a week. We would have a big coffee day where we're having a bunch of people, and it could have been with James is real big, my husband, on going out and doing coffee with the director and having everybody out. But they can't even do that. Sure. So virtual activities were how we kind of started incorporating the connection again with everybody during this time. And now we've been allowed to do one-on-one activities, but when you have close to 90 people in services for day program, doing one-on-one activities can be a little difficult.
Sure.
And so we had to consolidate a whole bunch of fun, hopefully, or at least some sort of interaction into an hour. And now we're limited to maybe a couple hours a week that we're able to spend that one-on-one time with each person.
Okay.
I get phone calls every day from people saying, when are we going to open back up? When do we get to go back out again? We want to see our friends. They even have loved ones. People date each other in day program, and they want to see each other and spend some good time with each other, some quality time. It's been really difficult for everybody to kind of wrap their heads around, but we're getting there. It's going to happen eventually where we can get back together.
Good. Well, I can't imagine how difficult that's been, but the fact that they have you and James to be able to look up to and to lead them, I think, obviously that showcases a lot in terms of just who you guys are, to be able to figure out different ways. Rebecca Johnson also says here that they also do virtual zoo tours. I did not know that.
Yes.
So that's good to know for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you guys are watching, if you guys have any other ideas in terms of things that we might be able to kind of digitally implement, or ways that that maybe you can capture a large audience with, maybe it's something as simple as connecting on a Zoom and somebody visually maybe being able to create some stuff, and maybe have an interaction if if people want to shout out answers, that they could quickly have a drawing board or something like that, on the subject that they're teaching. A lot of different options there. So no, that's very cool though that you guys have been able to adjust, even with, and again, I can't imagine that's been easy, but being able to still figure something.
Really creative. I would say, in asking for volunteers, if anybody has a special skill set and they're wanting to do something virtual with us, we would love that. We would absolutely love that. I mean, let me know right away. We'll incorporate that. Everybody's searching for something to do, something to entertain everyone with.
Certainly.
And if we have to do it virtually, so be it. That's fine.
I'm thinking that I could probably come up with something that has a lot of different animations, or and maybe it's just walking through how to put together like a PowerPoint, but then you can incorporate the different slides and the animations, and just something that visually might be aesthetically pleasing for them to look at.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Okay, cool. Well, that will get my brain, my wheels spinning for sure. And again, we'll definitely put that out there, and for other business owners or people who basically want to spend that time and have the available time to do that as well. So,
that'd be great.
Yeah. So one of the staple questions that we've come up with here on this is basically, if there were no limitations, what do you anticipate that life would look like, or what would be some of the things that you'd be trying to cross off the bucket list?
No limitations in regards to which aspect of life?
Time, money, children. I mean, just if there is zero limitations whatsoever, and I know it's hard to imagine because you have so many. I don't want to say limitations, but you have so many things that you are a part of.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, and then. Now we have grandchildren on the way, so
I know. Oh my gosh, are you
congratulations, by
kidding?
the
I'm
way.
I'm gonna go crazy. Don't get me started on the whole grandchild. I probably just looked like I was a crazy woman, but hey, I am. I'm super excited. I don't get nearly enough time to spend with the family. I don't. I'm a workaholic. That's been my thing forever. I've been working since I was 19 when I had my first son, and I enjoy working. I love it. And if I could clone myself, no limitations, right?
Right.
I would work all the time. I would spend tons of time with the family. I would travel more. I mean, I would take on and help every single person that I could possibly get my hands on, because I love this field. I love what I do. And there are times where I am crying and frustrated and angry that I can't help. But I don't give up. That's not something that I'm known for, is to give up on anyone. So that, I would take on everything if I could.
No limitations, right? So that's pretty incredible, honestly. The fact that you kind of recognize that maybe a whole lot wouldn't change other than the fact that if you had more time, or if you had the physical energy to really be able to be in multiple places at one time, that you really wouldn't change a whole lot other than being able to just be in multiple places at once. I think that's incredible. But I also think that that's fitting, right? Because getting to know you over, the last 6-7 months, and you guys in your business, I mean, I see that, your family, your
Oh yeah.
your work. I mean, you're 100% in everything every time, right?
I love my life. I have a wonderful life. I have a wonderful family. Um, I'm just very, very blessed to be in this position and to be able to help people, and also have a modicum of flexibility if I allow it to go do something that I want to do every once in a while.
Sure, sure. No, that's awesome. And I think that what maybe because I've had the opportunity since actually learning about what you guys do, and just kind of interacting with other people, to say, hey, you know what, I actually have somebody who works in this field, or I actually have somebody who's in here. And, so I've kind of gotten a little bit of exposure to kind of your industry and what you guys do. And also have a couple of people. So I've actually kind of seen some of the other residencies and some of the programs. And again, it's vastly different. And again, there's people are going to resonate with different things, but to be able to see, and walk through your facilities, walk through your program, and walk through and meet your staff and the people that they're, and and to kind of see that they have a heart for people, and it's kind of an extension of, and the culture that you guys are establishing. It's really incredible to see that. And, a lot of times people don't realize that everything kind of starts from the top and trickles down. And so I think that it's fairly evident when, just from the moment that you walk in to Kaaum, and then, you can see that the heart trickles down again from what you and James have established. So it's really cool to know that you guys are right here in our backyard, right? That you guys are making a difference, and that you guys are impacting people, and that you guys have this huge heart for people who are, maybe in respite care and things like that. My biggest thing, I guess, it's been, impactful on me personally in terms of like how I want to spend my time, how I want to volunteer, when life allows, right? And that's, one of the things I'm learning is that I have to, I have financial goals, but in order to be able to reach those and be able to do that, I have to spend and get really good at this before I can really work and maybe be able to spend time in other places and things like that. So how do you find maybe some of that balance? Because, or do you even have time, or do you find that, do you get enough maybe from what you do that maybe it allows to kind of intertwine both, so you don't necessarily have to maybe go outside of this all the time to maybe volunteer or give back other ways?
I want to volunteer and give back other ways, to tell you the truth. Finding the time to do that in the particular position that I've chosen for myself is really, really difficult. But, you have to branch out and give and find different avenues in order to expand your own worldview, I guess you could say. James, we just got an email the other day because one of our daughters is real big on volunteering, and she was doing volunteer through Teen Court, the Springs Teen Court, which I think is a wonderful organization. And we just got a thing asking for board members. So James is going to go have an interview with Springs Teen Court to do to be part of their board, hopefully. And I want to find the same thing. I want to give back and see what I can do as far as volunteering. Right now, I volunteer pretty much all of my free time to this particular agency, but it's wonderful to me. I love every single moment that I get to spend with the people that we're serving. There's just not enough time in our lives to really incorporate everything that we want to do, but it's keep trying.
Right. You're right. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, is that someday, right? Some point.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. No, I just, I think being in business, has given me great opportunities, great ability to maybe spend more time in areas that I didn't have before, Um, and so, for me, I think it's kind of like, well, what's the next step, and it's always kind of what's the next step, and then obviously that, that you have to get really good at what you're doing before you can move on to the next step and stuff like that. But to know that there's something on the forefront, I think has allowed me to kind of move forward, and also you kind of allows you to pre-plan kind of where you want to go to and what you want to do. And so I just love like that you guys have so much vision for not only what you guys are doing with the business, but also in your personal individual lives as well. So
we try. But you have to be flexible. That is the biggest thing that I've noticed, especially as a business owner. You have to be really flexible. There's been many times where James and I are saying, oh, by this time next year, we're going to be out of the office and it's going to be running on its own. Maybe I'm a control freak, I don't know, but I really like having hands-on. I like being not only somebody who owns it, but also works it. I mean, I'm putting in more hours probably than anybody else. And I'm okay with that because that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that it's done correctly and that we're a visible presence for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I love that. Right now, with all the COVID stuff, obviously we've talked about kind of a need and a want for maybe volunteers and people to come and spend some time. Outside of that, I mean, what else can we do to better support Kaaum as a community?
Oh, gracious. Continue to be kind to each other and loving, and understand that this is not an easy time for people to go through. Educate your children on people that have differences, and that goes under every setting you can possibly imagine. But I think that that's a big thing that we really need to concentrate on as well. Every once in a great while, I come across somebody that gives us a crazy look when I bring my son out into the community, because I live this every day, being a parent of somebody who has a diagnosis. He's going to act out and do all kinds of fun things. He won't wear a mask, by the way, so that's one thing. There's going to be people that may have sensory issues that wearing a mask is very adverse to them, but they still deserve to be out.
Sure.
I think as a community, supporting Kaaum would just mean supporting each other.
I love that. And that's such a great message, especially in the things that we're experiencing and going through right now, with the riots and, still COVID and still trying to figure out all that stuff. I mean, and so I love the fact that that's how you think that we can assist you guys and assist the community altogether. So thank you so much for that message. There's probably everybody could probably benefit from that right now. And I really hope that if you guys are watching this, that that you take that to heart. Again, this is why we do this, because there's so many different points of views. There's so many different things as a business owner that you go through, and yet the emphasis is that we're all impacted by all the things that are around us still. And ultimately, we want to deep dive for these things to make sure that people know exactly how we can help people.
Most definitely.
I'm so sorry. I think I forgot to turn off my work line, and it's going like crazy. So sorry about that.
That's okay. No, I'm actually pretty blessed that mine hasn't blown up as much as I thought it was going to.
So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress in regards to this. I mean, when I decided to launch this series, I dabbled with some streaming online and stuff like that, but never did I think it would get to this point where we'd be booked out weeks, months in advance of people wanting to participate. People who would have said yes. I thought for sure that I would have been scrambling to have people, begging people to come on, just because I didn't know if there was a need. And, I'm quickly finding out that people enjoy this. People love getting to know other business owners in the community. People love the advice and the things that they're learning, and then learning about different businesses. It's helped them to expand maybe their thought process, or realize that there's so many different needs and so many different ways to maybe make some money. And so again,
Definitely.
thank you guys for bearing with me even through all the technical stuff. And as we learn the process at some point, maybe we'll get really good at it. But
Owning your own business is hard. It is, I mean, it's the most difficult job I've ever had in my life, besides parenting, because parenting is definitely hard.
yes.
Especially as they get older. But it's been a challenge, but it's well worth our time. I think it depends on your passion. So if you passionately make chocolate, then I think that's wonderful. That's something you should do. If you passionately have a car lot, you should do that too. But I think that you really should never go into any business without that key component of passion for what it is that you are trying to accomplish in that business.
I agree. One of the things that kind of like almost slapped me in the face, and it wasn't so much for me, it's just because I've seen it for so many other people, is that a lot of times people get into business and maybe you're a type of person where maybe you're still unsure, right? But you know that you need to be doing something different, and when my friend told me this, he basically said everybody assumes that their business that they start is a marriage. And for a lot of people, like, it's great, to be able to have that sustainability, to be able to go for a very long time. But for a lot of people, maybe just getting over that hump of starting something, right? To know that you can actually turn around and do that. But maybe that's not really your passion. Maybe something else comes along and you find that ignition, and, maybe it turns into something else. And a lot of people, I think, maybe get stuck. And you can kind of see it, that they're not really happy doing what they do, and so one of the things that's kind of been, I guess, instilled in me early is, especially as I help people maybe transition to going from firing their boss into being their own boss, is that, you have to find your why. And if you don't know what that is, it's going to be a lot harder to maybe find the success in what you're looking for. Or maybe that's a challenge for you that you maybe haven't found the right reason. And again, maybe you enjoy kind of what this is, but maybe long term, maybe that's not your end game. And it's kind of scary when you just launch your business to think, well, maybe this is not my long term business, right? But I think, again, it kind of goes back to that failure piece. Sometimes falling flat on your face, it will allow you to get back up and run a lot better, so again, it's just kind of one of those things that you just learn different things from different people, and nobody knows what the right combination is until they start and try it themselves.
One of the things, the philosophies that I've lived with or lived by for majority of my life is, it's not what life gives you, it's how you handle it. So you can bemoan the fact that you were born without, a 140 IQ, or being 6 foot tall, or whatever the situation might be.
I feel like you're personally attacking me with those. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm personally attacking myself there. But, you really have to just expand on what you have. So make it better for yourself, make it better for other people, and just make lemonade out of your lemons, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I actually just posted a meme this week, so I'm glad that you said that. It basically says that the same hot water that that softens potatoes also hardens eggs. So it's all about what you're made of.
That's a unique one.
Yeah. So I just found it interesting, because
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, my son has just kind of been going through this phase where he wants to do what he wants to do, and I respect and I love the fact that he is independent and he's getting at that point, but also at the same time, as a parent, it's very frustrating. So
that's the hard part about parenting, is that you have to realize that these are little human beings,
right?
And they're going to make decisions and do things that you would not do yourself, but you have to let them give it a shot.
Absolutely. So we just kind of have to let them be who they are, and hopefully just pray that we've instilled enough wisdom in them that they can make well-informed decisions, and that when they fail, it's not fatal. So
precisely. I would agree with that 100%.
Perfect. So we've got just a few minutes left here in regards to everything, but I can't thank you enough for being here. But I did want to go ahead and see, at this point in time, is there anything that's maybe heavy, or anybody in particular that you wanted to maybe just kind of acknowledge or give thanks to, or anything like that at this point in time? It's kind of like the last couple minutes is all yours.
Oh, wow. I feel like I'm accepting my Oscar. Right. My family is a huge part of my life, obviously, because I keep talking about them and refer back to them.
Yeah.
James has been an incredible support system. It is, without a doubt, ridiculously hard to work day in and day out with your spouse. That is not an easy thing to request of any marriage, but somehow we've made it work for the past 5 years. It's actually happened, and we've gotten to get a deeper understanding of each other and how to keep going forward in positive directions. I think that he's been an amazing support system for me. But also, my mom, oh my goodness, my mom is incredible. So she's very, very blunt and honest with me and tells me all kinds of things. But I'm so thankful for this community, for the parents, the caregivers, and the people that are in services that trust us every single day. And our employees, oh my gracious, we have some amazing people that work for us. We have about 100 different people between independent contractors, full-time and part-time employees that have just stuck with us through thick and thin and are so loyal and so kind and loving and a great support system to us as well.
That's awesome. Well, again, I'm grateful for all of them as well. I mean, without them, I mean, you guys wouldn't be here, and I learn a lot just from, the interactions that I've had with you and James, and I look forward to basically just seeing what else that you guys do and to watch the growth of Kaaum. And we'll definitely we'll get you guys connected with some people who can come in and help during this time. But again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for displaying your heart. It's really incredible to see that, and really, I think it makes people feel better knowing that we have people like you who are running businesses right here in Colorado Springs. I think a lot of people, sometimes they don't know what's behind those doors, and I think oftentimes we have kind of like maybe a stigma in terms of like, oh, well, this person's a certain type of business owner, or what I mean, and this. For people who maybe aren't involved, it's I think that was kind of something that I learned too, is like, when you hear business owner, there's certain industries, and then all of a sudden you kind of get all jumbled in, you know what I mean? So
right.
To be able to see that it can maybe the complete opposite of maybe what sometimes people think. So thank you so much. You do? Okay.
I actually get that a lot. I've had a couple people, because how people make small talk, and sorry to keep running on your time here, but
not at all.
People will say things like, "Oh, you own a business." Yeah, it's not as fancy as you think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's gritty for sure.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot of work.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Stories Worth Telling. Again, if you're catching this on the replay, just type in #replay. Let us know what your thoughts are. Again, if you would like to reach out, type in #Kaaum, Kaaum. Rebecca will definitely be in contact. And again, if you're interested in basically volunteering, being able, even if it's on like a Zoom or a digital meeting, to be able to help out, definitely much needed at this point in time. And we will actually have a surprise Saturday or Friday video tomorrow, and not local here, but local in Arizona. A friend of mine, Carissa Williams. So she does a couple of different things, but comic hair is one of the things that she's a part of. And so basically she gets to dress up as a character like Wonder Woman, or I think she did Black Widow, and basically reach out to, they go to hospitals, they go to nursing homes, they go to children's hospitals, and basically just kind of delivering that superhero experience. We just experienced ours for the first time last week when she called in and did a personalized call for Maddox. So really great opportunities. We're excited to have her on tomorrow. And again, thank you, Rebecca, for being here with us today. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.